Hello everyone, this is Chromý and together we will continue the course Interdisciplinary Approaches to Language and its Use. In the last presentation we discussed the role of frequency in sentence processing. Now we will turn our attention to another factor, namely the real-world knowledge. We might predict that the analysis which is in accordance with the real-world knowledge would be preferred by the reader or hearer. For example, semantically plausible analysis may be processed faster than semantically implausible one. The effects of plausibility were studied, for example, in processing of garden path sentences. In this study by Martin Pickering and Matthew Trexler, the effect of plausibility was examined using constructions like edit the magazine, which is completely plausible, and sail the magazine, which is grammatically well-formed structure, but highly implausible. The question is whether these structures would be processed differently, and how. Pickering and Trexler used items such as this one. Conditions A and B are both garden path sentences, and they differ only in the verb which is used. Conditions C and D are control sentences using a comma which clearly shows that nominal phrase the magazine is not an object of the first clause verb. In English, it is possible but not obligatory to use commas in the sentences of this type. Participants' eye movements were analyzed using eye tracking. The results showed that readers misanalyzed both sentence A and sentence B. Sentences like B, where there was an implausible object, were harder to process during the nominal phrase the magazine, and sentences like A, where there was a plausible object, were harder to process during the syntactically disambiguating verb am used. These results show that plausibility may play a role in the way how we process sentences. A similar experiment was run by John Trueswell and his colleagues. This time, plausibility was manipulated using the distinction between animate and inanimate nouns, such as the defendant and the evidence. The defendant is an animate noun. It refers to a human being, and therefore it can be very plausibly a subject of the verb examined. On the other hand, the evidence is an inanimate noun, which cannot be plausibly a subject of the verb examined. The question again was whether plausibility could play a role in processing of these constructions. Trueswell and his colleagues used items like this one. There were 4 conditions which differed in the noun used prior to the verb evidence and in their status as a garden path sentence. Conditions A and C are garden path sentences because the first nominal phrase may be either a subject of a verb examined or a subject of a verb turned out. Crucially, the authors did not find any garden path effect in the condition C. Plausibility thus influenced the way how the sentences were processed. In sum, we may say that plausibility is an important factor in sentence processing. However, we also know that semantic analysis is slower compared to the syntactic analysis. For example, garden path sentences often yield a garden path effect even if the initial misanalysis is implausible. However, the size of this effect tends to be smaller than for plausible sentences, and it is also easier to do the reanalysis. What we also know is that plausibility is a factor which may force us not to abandon an initial misanalysis. So it seems that our syntactic analyses are stronger if they are also plausible. Before we will conclude this presentation, I have one reading tip for you. Our real-world knowledge enables us to anticipate what will follow in a sentence we are reading or listening to. In other words, our prediction ability is to a larger extent based on our real-world knowledge. If you would be interested in these issues, I would like to recommend you a review article, Anticipatory Processes in Sentence Processing by Yuki Kamide. If you enjoyed the presentations, We would be glad if you would like them on YouTube. That is all from me now. See you next time.